beautiful Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the program. I hope you're well, I hope you're happy, and I hope you might spend some time with us as we have a little look at some of the stuff that's been going on in this wonderful world of ours. Something that you may not have known. Peter Clayton behind the camera, Gary walking in and being our audience, and of course, most importantly, you. Something you might not know. Pete, the smell of old books, it's a very distinctive smell.
Yes, yes.
Do you know what it's called?
No.
It's called Velicor.
Well, you learn something new every day.
Yeah, I did. I'd never heard the word. I hope somebody wasn't pulling my leg. I like the word Velicor. Velicor. A wistful, pensive nostalgia infused with the passion of time.
It's like the smell of old Jaguars.
Oh, like the smell of old Jaguars. I couldn't agree more. If you look it up, check on it for me. It's all right. I don't mind you checking on things. But if I took you over to that bookcase, just over here, I reckon you could smell Velicor in abundance. Oh, yes. I want to say a sad farewell to a great lady. Last week, Pauline Hurren died. You may or may not know the name. A fantastic architect and friend who, in fact, designed this very garage for me. Buildings and homes all over Adelaide. Some of the most beautiful have been designed by this great lady. Now, I don't know how old she was. To me, she was eternally youthful. But I think perhaps in her 90s. Working with her lovely daughter Rosanna right to the very end, you know. Because everyone would say, you know, Pauline has to do the drawings. Oh dear. Vale Pauline Hurren. Bless you. Now, during the week, Peter Manuel from FLAG, which is an interesting organisation, FLAG Australia, sent me a piece from Facebook. In it, a clear warning that right under our noses, the Labor government has perpetrated the greatest land grab in the history of the world. Wow. Now, I'm going to call John Darley, the former South Australian Valuer General, his full book on all of this stuff, because this to me is just so crazy. I say to myself, this cannot be true. You would remember when the government sold the Lands Titles Office. It went, I believe, to a union-owned superannuation fund. Before that, the parchment or hard copy of your title was a tangible document, an asset, secured, placed in safekeeping, evidence that you owned your property. Now, we invented the Torrance title system, which has been taken up all over the world. The simple system that said, this is your property, without too much fuss. Your hard copy of this title has been replaced with the modern digital title, which overnight, unknown to any of us, replaced the word freehold with the word leasehold. I'll bet you didn't know that. From owner to tenant overnight. Now, why did the government do this? And why didn't we know about it? Oh, by the way, it does not apply to Aboriginal or Crown land. Were we sleepwalking? Now, I thought this going digital thing was just a benign improvement on what we had. But now I am told, no. The Labor government stole our land. The land we paid for, but no longer own. Evidence of this is that if your power company wanted to walk onto your property and install a smart meter, they can. We have no say. That smart meter, by the way, is really smart. It allows them to charge us for electricity at the highest possible rate. The power that we may use off-peak can be charged at peak time prices. Now, all of this, I tell you today, I have to check. But on Friday, around the dining room table, I'll have an update on it. We'll find out what the real situation is. But, you know, if it's true, where was the opposition? More importantly, where was the media? And just speaking about the Friday show, I hope to have Nick McKenzie on. Nick McKenzie has done another brilliant piece. My God, that man is good. I think it was 60 Minutes last night. I didn't see it, but I got a report on it. It's funny, 60 Minutes used to be absolutely must viewing at one time, and it's sort of, I don't know, fashions change, people forget to tune in. But he's done an amazing piece on the CFMEU. And the CFMEU has been described yesterday by the opposition leader, Peter Dutton, as the Australian modern version of the old-time mafia. But we did hear all of this a little while ago with the standover tactics and the bribery and all of that. All of that went very quiet, didn't it? Well, Nick stirred it up. As I say, I hope to have Nick on the show on Friday. What about this? The Australian reported yesterday that Macquarie University's law faculty, very good law school, I believe, will fail students who do not present a heartfelt, which I guess is the opposite to half-hearted, right? I mean, they're going to have to be really sincere with this. They will fail students who do not present a heartfelt welcome to country. Now, what are we running here? A course on the law or hypocrisy? What if the student doesn't believe in welcome to or acknowledgement of country? He or she should have the right to ignore it, to conscientiously object. Not at Macquarie University. They will fail you. Now, I find that absolutely astonishing. But that was in yesterday's Australian. You can look at that. Blackouts across York Peninsula. State and federal Labor governments clearly care more for their renewables policy than the people and the businesses of Australia. From abundant, cheap, reliable baseload power to this mess. Supply has been intermittent for weeks, and not just here in South Australia, but all over the country. The excuse? Oh, lots of excuses. The hot weather and dust. Yes, dust. The state Labor government says that the summer is to blame, the hottest on record. Well, that's wrong. It's been a very mild summer. Dry, yes, but mild. The Chinese owners of our poles and wires have started maintenance. Well, I say too little too late. I'm sorry, you anticipate problems, routine maintenance kind of thing. You prevent problems. But why would they care? SA Power Networks has a monopoly. That deal should never have been done. The Liberal government, under John Olsen, after promising it wouldn't, did just exactly that. Wrong and most regrettable. We, the people, should own our essential services. It's that simple. You might like to ring and comment on that on Friday. I can't imagine anyone disagreeing with the statement. A big talking point this week is Donald Trump and our deteriorating relationship with the United States of America over tariffs. What we got to remember is, when it comes to trade, we are bloody good customers of America. And indeed, through good times and hard times and bad times, good friends of America. We need a balance of power, not a monopoly or tyranny of power. Sure, America is powerful. But I don't think instinctively we like people who throw their weight around all that much. It's out of character with Americans, certainly all the Americans I know. This is a good relationship. But it's a bit unbalanced at the moment. We have plenty to negotiate with, by the way. I was thinking about this. For example, we could now be charging the United States rent for Pine Gap, Narunga, the Exmouth base, naval base. Tyndall, well, Tyndall's an interesting one. This is where they rotate through 6 B-52 nuclear-armed bombers all the time. Why aren't we charging them rent for that? Fair's fair. There are 800 Americans at Pine Gap. Now, don't get me wrong. I think it's a good idea for Australia, Pine Gap, and probably all the American bases, vital for the United States. We are kind of their aircraft carrier in the Pacific. Think of it like that. Vital for them, comforting for us. But believe me, it's worth a lot. For Australia, it's a crucial moment. It's a Cuban crisis moment, if you ask me. Kennedy stared down Khrushchev. Can you see Anthony Albanese staring down Trump? Take the tariffs off our imports or we will charge you a commercial rent for your installations, which, by the way, happen to make us a target in the event of war. That should be considered as well. But, look, let's work together. Let's not hurt each other. But we will need an ambassador in Washington who can say that sort of stuff. I've got a feeling our ambassador turns up and the hair on the back of Trump's neck stands up. Anyway, we need a good negotiator in there, a good representative of our nation. Big demonstrations around Australia. Domestic violence against women. Well, hear to the demonstrations. 114 women killed in just 1 year, a little bit over 1 year. The demonstrations were in the capital cities of Australia. All good. But domestic violence is disproportionately perpetrated in the outback of Australia. Now, this would never get a mention on the ABC, for example, but maybe other popular media, I don't know. That would be racist. It's actually cultural, not racist. The highest rates of domestic violence, I looked this up, the highest rates of domestic violence and death in the world are black nations. Africa, lots of countries in there, but top of the bill is the Democratic Republic of the Congo. They're always democratic republics, I don't know why. Then comes, in the pecking order, if I can use that expression, Papua New Guinea, Vanuatu, the Solomon Islands. Then comes Afghanistan. And the other countries that are far more dangerous for women than Australia are Ethiopia, Pakistan, India, and Nigeria. Honour killings and things like that. Sometimes they don't kill the woman, they throw acid in her face. Please, can these demonstrators speak the truth? The truth is not racist, is it? 43%, I love this story. I had no idea. 43% of the total cost of building a new house is tax. state, federal and local government taxes. Now you think about it, nearly half the cost of building a new house goes to government. This means that the crocodile tears cried by government for this housing crisis is absurd. It's the height of hypocrisy. They could halve the cost of building a home overnight. Now, the Housing Industry Association of Australia commissioned this report, published in the Australian newspaper last Wednesday. You can refer to it. Affordable housing. They're always talking about affordable housing. They could provide it. Government points the finger everywhere. Negative gearing, builders, banks, migrants, foreign ownership. It's a front page story. Government is responsible for half the ridiculous cost of building a home. Everyone should be complaining about that with an election coming up. And let's say you pay twice what you should, twice, because of these government charges, when you go to insure your overpriced purchase, please know that also your premium will be significantly higher than it should be, because there are federal and state government taxes applied to your policy. It is a time of complete overhaul of the tax system in this country. Root and branch. Excise and tax are out of control and out of proportion, and we should do something about it. And now, with the election just about there, we can play these two guys. You can forget the Greens and the Teals. They're never going to look at this. But we should be able to extract from the potential government after this election a good deal for a review of taxation. Government policy at the moment is holding back productivity and indeed the whole country. Where is the opposition on this? We're here with the best wishes of the Rising Sun Inn. I love them. 60 Bridge Street at Kensington. If you're coming to Bridge Street using Kensington Road, you'll see the council have been very kind, and they've stuck a sign up at the end of Bridge Street with an arrow pointing to the Rising Sun and a little sort of advertisement for them. I've never seen a council do that for anyone else. Anyway, I approve of that. 8333 0721. Grant and Jackie will really look after you. The Rising Sun Inn. It's regularly chosen as the best pub or inn in South Australia. And our other sponsor is Jim Elder Fine Art Gallery in Melbourne Street, North Adelaide. They're at 106 and 110, two beautiful buildings. And you can talk to Jim or his lovely wife Helen on 8267, let me get this right, 8267 2869. That's it, 8267 2869. They're inviting people to submit notable paintings for the first of their 4 auctions for this year. Now, I wouldn't know what a notable painting was, quite frankly. The wonderful old saying, which I totally agree with, I'm not impressed with art, I just like what I like. But, you know, you may have a painting there that is significantly valuable and you wouldn't know. But if you ring Jim, he will give you a free appraisal. Lovely sponsors to have, ladies and gentlemen. Did you hear for the COP, this is the, oh God, I keep forgetting what it stands for, Conference of People, United Nations stuff, Conference of People. It's COP30 in November. The Brazilian government is going to host it, and to celebrate, if that's the word, they have bulldozed a huge swathe of the Amazon to build an 8-lane highway to get better access to the capital for the 47,000 visitors they expect to fly in for this talkfest. Tens of thousands of acres of vital natural resource, the lungs of the world, gone. And they did this for COP, Conference of People. They did it for the greenies. It's a funny way to save the planet, folks. These climate idiots are truly mad. Counterintuitive anyway. And speaking of such, Extinction Rebellion, their demonstrations, well, I don't know how you'd regard them. Middle-aged women gluing their hands to the windows at the front of the Santos building. Why? Why would you do it? What are you proving? I'm of the school that says, well, you don't sort of come in there with solvents and get them off the window. You leave them there. Santos represents wealth. Hard work and wealth and risk. Income to superannuation funds. Jobs. Career opportunities for Australians. Productivity. What do you ladies represent? Lawlessness and arrogance. And how about this? The IOC, you know, the guys who own and run the modern Olympic Games, they've been confronted by a large group of militant athletes, competitors, who are demanding that future Olympic Games be emissions-free. Make no mistake, the Olympic Games, the IOC, it's all about money, big money, a huge business, which has the potential to send the host city bankrupt, of course. This is after having bid hundreds of millions of dollars for the rights to host or go bankrupt. This will or should spell the end of the Olympics as we know them, and perhaps open the door to a slimmed-down, permanently based Olympics in Athens. Why not? Or maybe a virtual Games. Pete, would that work?
Oh, probably.
Gary, what do you reckon?
It would.
Yeah. No audience.
No.
And better still, no athletes.
Even better still.
What could possibly go wrong? Now, why do these people want to get involved in politics? They're athletes. They're athletes. They probably can't see that they are being cynically used, but I think they are. These militants, by the way, when asked just how the Olympics could be carbon-free or carbon-neutral, he said, people, spectators, should still fly in their thousands. Yes, we like an audience, cheering and all of that, that's very big. But they should pay a special carbon tax or levy. The journalist doing the interview didn't, but should have, asked, how does paying more for your tickets reduce your carbon footprint? How does that work? Huh? And while I'm on the subject, can you imagine the Formula One race drivers all getting together to demand that the Grand Prix be carbon-free? They're all making too much money. We've just had it in Australia. Oh, I used to watch it avidly, but it was just this past weekend in Melbourne. 100,000 people in the audience, all breathing. All those internal combustion engines, tyres, exhaust pipes, carbon everywhere. Drivers all keenly competing to go faster, burn more fuel, more carbon, more. Now, these drivers have got multi-million dollar, probably, as I speak, they're probably billion-dollar contracts, I don't know. So who's going to complain? Surely, if we were going to pick a sport or an event to hit on the head with the carbon kibosh, it would have to be the Grand Prix. But here's something. As a token, here in Melbourne, just on the weekend, this past weekend, they used an electric fire truck. Now, I'm sure that would make a very big difference. Oh my God. Oh my God. I thought about doing a what the what the papers say thing, because They do have a lot of interesting stuff,
Yeah.
and a huge staff to gather it, as opposed to us. A couple of stories from the Australian, which is a very good paper. Apparently, there are significant suppression orders surrounding that young man who allegedly boarded a Jetstar flight at Avalon Airport with a loaded shotgun, claiming to have a bomb in his bag. What is there to suppress, I wonder? But the media has been put on notice. This guy, of course, he's got his rights, and so do we. We have a very important right, and that's the right to know. And on page 4 of, let me think, Wednesday's Australian, in case you missed it, no other developed nation in the world has suffered a greater setback in its standard of living than Australia. I had to read that twice. They're talking about us. We are the worst in the world. Google it or check the Australian newspaper from last Wednesday. Household or disposable income, the worst in the world? From among the best to the worst in just 3 years? To my knowledge, only reported in the Australian and on 3AW and 2GB. And here in the Court of Public Opinion, of course. Wouldn't you think that story would get a mention on the national broadcaster, the ABC? I think they're probably too busy running a protection racket for the government. They tell me that the 3 big issues at the election will be cost of living, and, oh yes, cost of living. In the most energy-rich country in the world, with its renewables policy, Labor has in just 3 years set us back 20 to achieve absolutely nothing. And make no mistake, the high cost of electricity is reflected in everything we do, everything we buy, everywhere we go. And it's going to get worse. An independent survey released just yesterday reveals that at the supermarket checkout, our bills are on average 30% higher than they were 3 years ago. And just to add to our energy woes, the National Energy Regulator will, in July, increase the cost of electricity by 10 to 13%. That's the default cost, which sets the price that we pay. When asked for justification, the regulator, or their spokesperson, said to continue paying for the conversion to renewables. So why are you putting the price up? To continue paying for the conversion to renewables. There it is. There it is. He went on to say, and it's expensive to run 2 systems, the old and the new. Well, absolutely. It's not only expensive, it's stupid and unnecessary and useless. What governs the price of electricity, do you think? I will tell you. I looked it up. It's the cost of production and it's the cost of transmission. No problems before Labor's renewables. From the cheapest energy to the most expensive. And totally the government's responsibility. So at this election, as it looms, please know that these almost impossible prices are a result of Labor's energy policy. Because they honestly believe that 1.3%, that's Australia's contribution to global emissions, has to come down to zero, which of course is impossible, will never be achieved, and will, if it happened, mean nothing anyway. It can't happen. Remember that when you either pay your electricity bill or you cast your vote. By the way, Treasurer Jim Chalmers has foreshadowed cost of living relief and the cost of living relief for households in the upcoming budget. So, let's see. He's talking about rebates. Rebates. So let's see what that means. What he's saying is, we'll cause the problem, the cost of living problem, then use your money to help you survive. I mean, I've heard of 3 thimbles and a pea, but if we fall for that, God help us. As Aristotle said, it is also in the interest of the tyrant to make his subjects poor. The people are so preoccupied with their daily survival, they have no time for plotting. I often say, and I really believe it is a fundamental thing, that all politicians, as they take government or seek office, should pledge. It's a simple pledge. Do no harm. Do no harm. This whole cost of living issue is a willful act of economic self-harm. And don't spend it all at once, by the way. The government has given single pensioners $4 a fortnight increase. $2 a week, mate.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
$2 a week.
Oh, gee.
Okay, and if you have a partner, it's $7 a fortnight, so $3.50 each. So as I say, don't spend it all at once. See, they've got a hide, haven't they? God, they've got a hide. Should I get on to the dates?
Yeah, I think you should.
I think, all right, okay. All right, I'll do it. Oh, happy birthday to Dick Smith. The beautiful Dick Smith, he's having a birthday today. He was born on this day, which is March the 18th, 1944. He's a year older than me. Oh, I like this one. It's 1961. This was the day when the Jaguar head, William Lyons, later Sir William, debuts the first... What do you think, Gary?
First Jaguar.
Which one? 61.
61.
Yeah.
E-type.
Oh, you know your cars.
XK120.
No.
61, sorry.
This is 61.
61. E-type.
E-type.
Yeah, 3.8 E-type.
That's right. 3.8 E-type. It was the model of the car. It doesn't tell me here what colour it was, but it was Geneva, the International Motor Show, and it created a sensation.
Indeed, still does.
Still does. I absolutely agree with you. Peter Bowles, British actor. I, Claudius, Rumpole of the Bailey. 2022, dies of cancer at the age of 85. You're standing up, Pete. You're leaving.
No.
It's terrible when you lose your audience. British Rebecca star. Well, he did more than Rebecca. Laurence Olivier. Sir Laurence Olivier, 53, weds British entertainer, actress Joan Plowright. She was 31 in New York. His third marriage, her second, and they stayed together till his death in 1989. This day in 61. After suppressing and murdering opponents, Vladimir Putin claims a post-Soviet record election victory. Well, we all know how to get popular then, don't we? 87.8% of the vote. God, that man's a crook. The six-year term will make him Russia's longest-serving leader in over 200 years. Somebody doesn't bump him off before. That was in 2024. Helen Hayes, American actress, Caesar and Cleopatra, happy birthday, first female EGOT, which means that she won an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar and a Tony. Dies of congestive heart failure at 92 on this day in 1993. The rubber band, the humble rubber band, was patented by Stephen Perry of London in 1845. I wonder if that's on his gravestone. Invented the rubber band. Paul McCartney divorces former model and anti-landmine campaigner, Heather Bills. She was 40, he was 63, on the grounds of unreasonable behaviour. Well, that's covers a multitude of things. Just tell me whose spouse doesn't behave unreasonably. Didn't know it was grounds for divorce. General Motors bought Opel, but that was back in 1929 on this day. Oleg Cassini, the American fashion designer, mostly famous for the clothes that he made for Jackie Kennedy, dies at 92 on this day in 2006. And construction of the Empire State Building, the world's first skyscraper of more than 100 stories on Fifth Avenue in New York City. It started in 1930, which was the Depression era. And you could imagine the Depression in New York would have been it's just terrible. You know, soup kitchens and poverty and people sleeping on the streets. But do you know, they built the Empire State Building in 1 year, from the ground to the top, and not a single strike. And it's a beautiful building. Have you been up to the top of the
Indeed.
Yes. Empire? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
It's remarkable. One more. 1942, US General Douglas MacArthur arrives in Australia to become the Supreme Commander of Allied forces in the Pacific. Thank you very much for being with us. I look forward to your company on Friday around the dining room table, jeremycordeaux.com. You can ring us. We've got interesting guests. But most importantly, you, and we'll be back with another posting on Facebook next Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. Peter Clayton behind the camera. We will be back. Believe in yourself, and thank you for viewing the Court of Public Opinion. Nothing would surprise me.